15th Kesh Health Teaching Workshop. And thank you for attending. I'm Rick Crammond, the host, and we'll be talking with Dr. Elia Kostova of the Spaceship Institute and Mr. Kesh from the Kesh Foundation. And today's topic I'll bring up on the live stream here is the mouth and the anus, two conversion points of matter. Sounds like a controversial kind of title, but I'm sure Dr. Elia will clarify everything for us in the way of the science and health professionals do, and also tie in what is the connection with the Kesh teaching as well. Okay, Elia. Are you ready to go there? Sorry, I didn't have my microphone on for the Skype, but it was all okay in the live stream there. Are you ready to go, Elia? Okay, you can go ahead now. I already announced the workshop. I just didn't have my microphone on in the Skype here, but it was on okay in the live stream.
Everybody, it's nice to be with you again after the holidays of the Spaceship Institute. Today we'll be speak about the mouth and anus like two conversional point of the matter. This is so interesting subject actually because during the holidays is no one of us and also all the followers of the foundation actually had a holiday and every one of us just discover different kind of things regarding the cache technology, and already we have in the Spaceship Institute the new setup, and other guys from around the foundation is not belonging to the spaceship. Also, they have a different kind of development. So I just decided to combine all of them and to put inside of the human body, because finally we reached the point that we are able to explain most of the things about the Magritte way of working of our anatomy. So we start with the first slide, and there I want to show you the lovely setup of CO2 kit, what is the Mr. Sohel from China produced. And all of you know that how the CO2 kit works and what is the purpose of a CO2 kit. It is to collect between two places the CO2 from environment, and actually how Mr. Kesh explained that this is the working way of each leaf in our planet. On the left side you see the anatomy of the leaf, and you see how all the structure of the leaf is contained between two cuticles. This is the skin of the leaf, and you see in the middle you have some kind of channels where it starts to exchange between the carbon dioxide and oxygen, what is actually the empty place inside of the box of CO2. So the two skin of the leaf, this is CO2 plates of the CO2 box, and between these two plates nano-coated in CO2 box, you produce the CO2, which is the carbon base, and actually life on the planet Earth is based of the carbon, and our body have a carbon structure. So keep this in mind. We go to the next slide. The next slide, I want to represent you how the life in our planet starts. It starts from the two seeds where they come from the cell of mother and father. and this cell starts to separate in the specific way, what in medical language we call mitosis, and finally start to reproduce like an amount of cells and form the shape. I will not keep you busy with our terminology in embryology. Just I want to show you the shape, how from two cells become one, and that one cell starts to separate in different kind of cells where they are situated in the specific manner in space. They organize themselves in the specific shape. It is actually regarding the golden ratio. And finally, they organize some kind of ball, what in Latin language we call gastrula. And how you see, this is the same shape like a reactor. And that shape starts to organize when the embryo takes that shape of gastrula, starts to organize itself in different cavity inside of that shape. So from the beginning, we build the core of the reactor, and then inside of the core of the reactor gastrula, start organization of inner part of that reactor. So it's mean from the beginning, our body is sustainable. We start our life from one small reactor, because each cell is a reactor itself. That reactor starts to multiply because the energy what we need to grow and to build our body is huge. So reactor starts to multiply size itself and to organize in the same shape like a reactor. So all the time we exist on that shape and organize ourselves inside of that shell. On the left side of the slide, you see different stage of gastrulation. We come from blastula and we reach the gastrula, and you see how from the beginning we have a skin, what is the core of the reactor, and even from the beginning that small shape have a pole, have a north and the south pole, and everything comes in south pole. All the changes come from the south pole, and then they go up to the north pole. On the last picture where is written gastrula, finally we start to have a nano layering inside of the reactor. So we start to have the endoderm, what is the skin core of the reactor, mesoderm, which is the transitional matter in layering, and inner layer, what is the endoderm. And inside of that core and all these three layering, we have a principal matter, our base, from where we start to grow like a structure. Then we go to the next slide. Are you ready? It's because probably I have delay on the live stream. Yeah, thank you. So on that slide, you are able to see when we became like a shape, like a core, inside of the core starts to produce layering. Each layer gives a birth of different kind of organs. Also, each layer, if we speak about the gans, contain different kind of state of gans. And regarding that, give a birth its original place of different systems and organs. And because of embryology layering, and because of that they contain specific gans structure, all the systems, all the organs, which their origin from that layer, they contain the same amount, the same strength, and the same characteristic of gans composition. Actually, in each layer, we have the gans composition, mixture of gans, and one or two simple gans state of the matter where they are, how to say, the amount, it's more in that layer. But actually, we have composition of ganses in each layer. And because of that composition of ganses, is regarding of them strength, there starts to mix to each other and make the new mixture. And because of that, during the embryology, we get different kind of organs finally, because of that composition. On the left side, you see again how the layering starts to organize themselves inside, and all the time during embryology state, we keep that shape of the reactor. Okay, we go to the next slide. Thank you. Left side of the slide, this is the picture of the embryo. You see outer core is shell of the embryo. Then you have the chorion. Chorion, this is the place from where origin all the vessels inside of your body. This is transitional matter. This is like CH3, what you use in your reactors. Then we have allantoins. This is the inner part of the layering from where become your nervous system. And inside we have a principal matter. This is the shape of beginning of formation of our body. So we have reactor, shielding, layers, and principal matter. And how you see, we became like a being from principal matter. We became like a being from seed. We are principal matter, which all the time evolve and transform ourselves in different shape. And all the time around us, we have all the layering, which is represented in the reactor, and how Mr. Cash before that explained in all the books and all the figures, all the state of matter we represent in our development of our structure, our body. On the right side of the slide, it's visible for you in more easy way how they start layering of ectoderm, endoderm, and mesoderm. And on the both side, you have some kind of sacs. Walk sac, this is the feeding place for the embryo. And amnion sac, this is the place where the embryo starts to grow. And all the layering, how I told you before that, they are based from where starts to origin all the systems and organs in our body. So our origin starts from 3 layering: endoderm, ectoderm, and in between mesoderm. From ectoderm, after evolution of embryo, starts to appear parts of nervous system and epidermis. Epidermis is your skin. And that's why Mr. Cash all the time explained to you that our skin is our outer brain. It's our outer emotions. Mesoderm is this place from where starts to develop the connective tissue and muscles. And this is the middle part. What is mean? This is the transitional matter. And endoderm, this is the place where I begin the epithelium. This is all the mucous membranes and glands. Okay, we go to the next slide. So on the left side, you see this is beginning how the sacs starts to organize themselves to have a holes. And after the gastrula part, when we have shielding all over the sphere of the embryo, we start to have two poles, south and north. And our south and north port from the beginning, this is our mouth and our anus. And the digestive system starts to represent in the middle. This is the first one representation of digestive systems like a mesh and like a tunnel inside of the gastrula with two poles, south and north. North is our mouth and south is our anus. On the right side, you see, this is the explanation how the layering begins. First, we have two layers in our sac, in our reactor, and then we add the mesoderm, the third one layer in between mesoderm. And we finally reach the point of three layering in our reactor, in our embryo sac. So with everything with that, you see that even from the beginning, we are sustainable beings. We are able to produce our energy from the beginning. Then we go to the next slide. Okay. On the left side, you see all the development of the embryo. So we start from a sphere, and then in the middle of the sphere, the embryo starts to grow and take different shapes. Imagine the embryo like a leaf. If you bend the leaf in two sides, the embryo will be in between these two sides of the leaf. What does it mean? All the time in our embryology, our shielding, our outer part become our bones, our spine. So in all the time we have protection from outside, and with what? With carbostructure. What for us, this is the calcium or CO2, what you use in the CO2 box. Inside, when you saw the appearance of layering, after the shielding appears the transitional matter. In the embryo, on that part, after the spine, appears all the organs and circulatory and nervous system. And then we have a principal matter which all the time stayed in the some deep and inner part of our body. So in the evolution of embryo, we have unfolding of the structure. So from the beginning, we have a sphere, and that sphere starts to unfold to the end. And all the inner part from inner side starts to be visible for outer side, starts to be visible in front. But from the beginning, everything what you see in front of you, like a face and in front of part of all your body, is inside of the embryo. What is so important just to keep in mind. So your shielding actually is on your back, and then that shielding is like you open the egg. It's open, and everything what is inside of the egg goes out. What in the traditional Chinese medicine they call yin, yang. Everything what is hidden, it's yin, and everything what is visible, it's yang. Okay, and the right side of the picture, you see when we already structured our system, it's like a carbon system, we start to have layering. We produce our bones, muscles, circulatory system, nervous system, lymph system, and finally we get a shielding from skin. So in all our development for one cells to gastrula, to embryo, to the end of development of embryo, in each process we have a layering. This is combination. Each layer is combination, mixture of ganses, which finally reach with insolidation the matter state. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, our body, like all star formations what you have in laboratory, have directions and have how to say plane of representation, how the body represent in space. And regarding this plate, different kind of organs and systems have symmetry inside of the body, and because of that orientation in A, Z, and X, we have organization and separation in cavity inside of the body. What is mean? In the bigger structure of our body, we organize the places, the core, where different kind of organs supposed to be in specific proportion and the specific position to each other. And all the proportion inside of the cavity, they are so specific from each cavity. Okay, and on the right side, you see how we separate the body from upper and lower part, from the left to the right. All that kind of measurements, it's so important to orientate where the organ supposed to be. And when we go further in our representation, you will get idea why. Okay, the next slide. So it's regarding all that measurements in our body. Finally, we have a cavity inside holes where different kind of organs take a shape and place. If you remember, when we spoke about the chest area, we spoke that up to the thoracic diaphragm, this is the place for two lungs, heart. And regarding the star formation, this is the base of star formation, and the top is the cavity, cranial cavity, will be the top reactor, and further during the workshop we explained that is the thalamus, and in the middle point between the thalamus and the base reactors, what is the left and right lung and heart, this is the thymus in the point of BZ. And why there is the thymus? Because this is the gland which correlate with conversions of packages. What does it mean? When the thymus receive different gans, say where that kind of gans supposed to go and what supposed to do. So if we keep in mind that structure, and if you remember what was the structure of lung and the structure of heart, what we spoke the previous workshop, and the structure of thymus, and how they are connected with the cranial cavity, and how the thalamus is the place of the thalamus if in the middle of the brain, and what is the structure of brain, I want to go further and to explain you the next step. So, on the next slide, you see the first picture is your cranial cavity. This is the brain, the main brain, which is the two hemispheres, left and right, and they have a mapping. What does it mean? Each part of the brain is connected with specific function of your body and contain the specific nucleus, which they regulate the function of that part of body or of the specific system. So what does it mean? That part have specific gans inside which correlate with specific part of the body which contain the same gans, because the similarity attract the similarity. Cannot be completely different things to attract each other. This is the same way how Mr. Kesh explained to you for Cup of Life. You're supposed to have the mapping with different kind of gases, and you attract inside different kind of fields regarding what kind of gases you put, like nano coating inside. The same is the brain. Have a mapping containing different kind of gases in each place. So in the middle of the brain, we have our emotional part of the brain. This is thalamus. And thalamus is this emotional part. And hemisphere, this is the physical part. They regulate the physical part of our body. And if you remember the shape of star formation, so the star formation inside of the cranial cavity will be lungs, will be two hemispheres because they have the same shape and the same color, more or less. Heart is physical part, physical explanation and of our thalamus. So thalamus will be on the shape of heart, and two hemispheres will be your lungs. So you have the feeding systems, lungs to the heart, and two hemispheres to the thalamus. So two hemispheres accepting different kind of foods, they feed your emotional part, thalamus. And if you connect these three base reactors, and if you want to find out where is the BZ, so BZ in the cranial cavity will be on the place between your hypophyse and epiphyse. So that is your first star formation. And you have a shielding from your skull. And skull also have a layering. This is not only bones. You have a bones, you have a transitional matter of the dura mater, hordial part with the nerves and vessels, and all other layers under the skull. This is your shielding, nano shielding of your top reactor. And then the top reactor connected to the next one. The next one you already know. This is in your chest. In your chest, how you know? You have two lungs, heart, like a base reactor, and the top reactor, your cranial cavity, BZ thymus. How these two parts separate to each other? With diaphragm. The first one, diaphragm, is diaphragm of your mouth. It's make sure that it's covered the cavity on top with skull and with bottom with diaphragm. But the diaphragm is dynamical shielding because this is the muscle and it is move. And the next reactor is in your thoracic area. On the bottom of the reactor, you have again diaphragm. This is the dynamic shielding. And why you need these things? You need because the diaphragms give you different positioning of the reactors inside of the star formation. So, if you follow the logic of the previous workshop, how you find out where is the BZ? BZ is area where the heart face the thymus. So, in cranial cavity, our heart will be thalamus, and what will be the thymus? Two other glands, hypophyse and epiphyse. So, where will be direction of the BZ of the cranial cavity? Direction will be from top to down. Will be face the next one star formation, what is your thoracic area. And the BZ of the thoracic reactor will be from heart to the thymus, and the point will be up to the cranial cavity. So, in that sense, you already have a trinity star formation. Your cranial cavity star formation and the thoracic star formation. They are able to sustain itself without others, which they are placed on after the diaphragm. Okay, then we go to the next slide. So, next formation starts after the diaphragm. After the diaphragm, you have a lot of organs inside of your abdomen. How to understand which one to connect and how to organize them. In front of you, this is the digestive system. Digestive system starts from mouth and finish to anus. And the most of the time is represented of the tubes. You have the esophagus, this is like a tube, and then you go to the stomach, this is larger tube, and then all the intestines, and finish with anus. The things which is more solid here and belongs to digestive system is liver. Also liver is so similar, like a color and shape to the heart. It's separate to the four parts, each of these four parts is fed by specific artery and vein, and all the circulation inside of the abdomen before to go to the thoracic area pass through liver. So liver, one of all the function of the liver is circulation inside. Heart also is correlated with circulation. So in digestive system, the organ which is more similar to the heart is liver. Two lungs, they feed the heart. Which two parts are able to feed the liver? This is the stomach. We take inside the matter, reorganize the matter, and from the stomach we receive all the nutrients, and we feed the system on that area through the stomach. So one lung will be stomach, even is similar to shape. What will be the next one lung? Will be the end of the large intestines, because in large intestines we absorb and collect all the water. We have a liquid state a lot inside and circulation to take out that water. Lung, if you remember, we have a lot of intercellular water in the lungs. Also, a circulation system to exchange the matter, what we take in and go out. That's the same function of the stomach and all the intestines. They convert matter, but here from matter state to the gas state. This is the conversion system which feed other part. And what will be our thymus then? The organ which related with immune system is spleen. So we have a two-lung stomach, and the end part or the beginning of the large intestine, you have a heart, liver, and the thymus, spleen. This is the star formation of your digestive system. And if you remember the plan of the body, all the organs of digestive system, they are stayed in front of the first part of the vertical plan of the body. The next one system after the vertical plan, where is the place of your kidney, they are part of other one formation. So important is to organize the organs like formation also. Is not to decide the color, not also to decide the shape, not only to decide the function, but to be in one plane of the body, vertical, horizontal, or sagittal. Okay, how to organize other organs in abdomen area. So we left to kidney and gallbladder, and bladder. And we have two more glands. This is the renal glands. Kidney, they have a shape like a brain, they have a shape like a lung, and regarding the shape and function, that their feeding system in one hand and cleaning system, buffering system in other hand, we put them like a lungs. Bladder will be your heart, even have a shape of your heart, the same shape, and contain a huge amount of water, and that water also is in the gas state. And regarding circulation, this is the organ which have a lot of circulatory system around. So also this is the organ which take out the liquid from your body have a pumping function, and heart also have a pumping function. So they have similarity in functions and in shapes. That's why we put two kidneys to be your lungs, the heart will be your bladder, and the thymus will be two renal glands. Even they have so similar shape to your thymus, like two parts of it. But that star formation stands behind the first one. It is like the shape of triangle, which is the base of triangle is the kidney, and the arch of the triangle will be the bladder. And the base is beside the digestive system formation, but the arch is on place of digestive formation. So why we need to have two formations inside of our abdomen? Because this is the area where we transform the solid matter to the gans. This is long-lasting process and take a lot of energy to support. And the formation, what we call the digestive system, if you orientate the visit from heart to thymus, from liver to spleen, is faced up to right to left. And I'm not surprised because our DNA in our planet and everything what is the vortex inside of our planet is spinning from right to left to make a vortex, to initiate the spinning of the matter state. And the formation from kidney and bladder facing the renal gland, so it means the visit will be from bottom to up and facing the previous formation in the thoracic area. So what does mean? We have a matter state organized in the formation and going up, and also that matter on that place we start to spin because of the digestive system have to have a vortex. And two visits of the digestive system formation and the formation from kidney, they cross to each other in navi area in the middle of your abdomen, which actually in the energy anatomy is your third chakra. And the last one formation, this is the next one cavity, this is the pelvic cavity. Next slide, please. Okay. The fifth one formation, it's from male, this is the prostate gland, two testicles, and the gland which is close to the anus area. We call in the common language G-spot, but actually this is the skin gland inside. In traditional Chinese medicine, they call the point of 1000 treasure, because this is the specific gland with a lot of innervations inside. Okay, how to decide again, how to organize the formation here? So the shape of testicles, they are similar to the shape of lungs and to the shape of brain. The prostate gland is the similar shape of your heart and of your thalamus, and also they are on the line. Thalamus, heart, more or less liver, and everything which behave how we call the heart, they are on the line, on the middle. So the prostate gland here will be your heart, testicles will be your lungs, and the behavior of thymus will have the G-spot. And the BZ will be face down because come from the prostate glands to the G-spot and facing down. So what does mean? Everything goes out from your south pole. And if you remember, in cranial area, the BZ faces down, and which is coming out from your south pole is going in your north pole. And on the next picture, this is the system from a woman. This is the formation from your womb to ovaries and the skin gland, what we call G-spot. This is the same. And like that, because of this 5-star formation, our body, like a whole, is sustainable Tor. It's feeding itself. And also, we finish the star formation on the bottom again with diaphragm. This is the pelvic diaphragm. So of all this 5-star formation, we start with skull, nano layering. Then we have a dynamic shielding with the first diaphragm of mouth. Then again we have dynamic shielding with diaphragm of thoracic area. And the last one, this is the pelvic diaphragm. Okay, we go to the next slide. Thank you. So when start our development inside of the womb, we don't have a digestive system to convert the matter. We live in the liquid environment. We are not able to see, and we are not able to hear everything, to accept like a field. So first of all, we start to feel and touch through our skin, what is our shielding, and we have from the beginning. But when we born, everything what is placed on our head, and we call the sensors organs, this is actually acceptors of fields. So we accept the fields from our eyes, from smell, from sound, and this is feeding system also. The next one feeding system will be air, what we accept with our thoracic reactor. And our thoracic star formation convert the information from air to gas state of our body, what we needed. And we accept that kind of fields, what we need to sustain our body. Actually, we have a lot of energy systems what we use to feed our body. It is not only our digestive system. If we start from cranial cavity with our sensors organs, we accept more soft energy state of the matter. This is sound, this is fields, colors, and taste. They are more soft than the matter state of matter. Through the mouth and nose, we accept gas, air, and gas we transform to the gas state. So our cavity reactor transform the fused plasma state to the gas. Thoracic reactor transform the gas state of matter to the gas. And then we go to the next one, formation of two-star formation, that is the digestive system. But unfortunately, she starts in the same place where to start all other star formations. Head. Why? Because when we accept the matter through our mouth, all the receptors what we have inside of the cavity of mouth and tongue, they inform the brain what we accept, what state of matter we accept, fluids, gas, or solid matter. And then brain say to the system where does matter supposed to go, to the thoracic area, and when we breathe, we close the epiglottis and all the air go in the lungs. If this is the solid, for example, chocolate, the glottis close, the trachea is closed completely, and the peas go in esophagus and then in the digestive system. Okay, the next slide, please. In that slide, I just tried to make some kind of modeling to be more easy for you to understand what I try to explain you. So on the top is the cranial cavity with formation from left-right brain, thalamus, and hippo and epiphyse, and the BZ facing down, diaphragm of mouth, and then we go to thoracic area and right and left lung, heart and thymus, and the BZ facing up. This is the same formation of the arm and star formation, how we spoke before that. And then we go to the next one slide. Okay, the next one, we have 3 star formations, but we have 2 star formation in abdomen cavity, and the other one is in pelvic cavity. They are close, but they are separate. And how you see the new formation of SSI and from arm and idea, this is from 2 star formations. And actually, the arrangement of the reactors inside is the same, like a star formation between the stomach, intestines, large intestines, liver, and spleen. And also I put with spleen a put system. This is the immune system inside of your intestines. So actually we have small star formation inside of the bigger one. This is the same what Armand done. We have the same in our body. And if you listen the previous workshop from yesterday, Mr. Cash explained exactly if you move different reactors and you change the positioning between the different reactors, you get a different kind of conditions, and the system will produce different things. All of our organs, they are not static, they are move, and they make a sound, what we call the Markgraf state of sound. They are all the time moving, they are not static. And again, I will give like example in it's more often used in India tradition is the organ chanting. They chant different kind of sound. They call seed sound for each organ to cure the organ or to benefit the organ or to increase the vital force inside of that organ. It's nothing by coincidence. If you put all the knowledge together, and everything is matched. And how you see the busy direction of two formation inside of abdomen area, they are cross. And that is the point of your umbilicus nervi. And then on the picture, you see the pelvic area with pelvic star formation. Here is the mixed for the woman and the man, but this is the separate formation in separate cavity, pelvic cavity. Okay, we go to the next slide. Thank you. Yeah. So on that slide, I want to show you that the thoracic star formation is feeding itself and the digestive system starts to feeding itself from one place. This is the combination of mouth and nose, but they are like in common structure. They are not separate to each other, even they are connected to each other. They have specific kind of connections in between on the pharynx area. So actually this is the one structure, and you see in the middle. In the middle, what is the picture in the middle? This is your mouth, your nose, and outside this is the parathyroid glands, and on the bottom is the saliva glands. So the thoracic area, how I told you, is filled with air, how you see on the left picture. And from the same place, through mouth, you feed your digestive system. And I told you why. Because on the head, on tongue, and the mucus of your mouth, you have all the receptors to recognize what kind of state of matter you take in your reactor. Okay, the next one slide. This is the video rig, what you're not able to play through the presentation. And that video will show the consequence of the digestive system and digestions. Okay, you start off overview with the name of organs, and the digestive systems are from mouth. You see how you take something inside of your mouth. First, you're supposed to make the pieces with your teeth, and with saliva, this is the first enzyme separation. Then go inside of the pharynx. And this is so specific peristaltic waves what they make the food inside. Through the sphincters of the esophagus go inside of stomach, flooding inside of the fluoric acid. And after the chemical and also mechanical destruction of the food, go inside of intestines. Through all the intestines, the food starts to be attacked from the bile juice and the pancreatic juice. They dissolve the carbo acid and different kind of fats to the monomaterials. And and now you see the mucus of the intestines. They reach the villi. This is some kind of elevation of the mucus would contain inside the nerves, veins, lymph part, and artery, and everything after the dissolution of the food go inside like a monomaterials in the blood, and from the blood reach each cells of your body. Next slide, please. Okay, thank you. So here it is like a pictures. It is the same what you saw in the video, how the food come inside of the mouth, and you supposed to swallow the food, and that's why the baby is born forceful, without anything in mouth, without tooth. And why? Because you supposed to feed yourself in different kind of state of matter. When you reach the evolution that you are able to feed yourself with solid state, it is because your body is growing and you need more solid matter to support your more solid body. That's why the tooth start to grow in the mouth of babies. And you're supposed to demolish the solid matter to the more liquid state, and the first chemical reaction starts in mouth. In saliva you have a lot of enzymes, and then go in stomach. They are the huge one with the chloric acid, and it's become like a stomach juice. And from the stomach go to the duodenum, and in the duodenum reach the bile juice and pancreatic juice. They dissolve everything to the monomaterials. It's like amino acid, carbohydrates, monofats, and all the monomaterials through the intestines. They go inside of the blood, and through the blood reach each part of your cells. And the right side, you see that everything was come out from intestines through blood, pass first liver, and then go to the heart. This is one more, point that the heart and liver have common function. So, and then you see how from the beginning you have different kind of pH of the material inside of that large nanotube of intestines. From the stomach you start, because you have to dissolve all the solid material to the different state of matter. You need more acid stage in the environment. That's why on that place you produce the chloric acid just to dissolve that state of solid matter to the next one. And in duodenum and to the end starts to grow the pH from acid to alkaline state. And actually all the intestines you see on the next slide, they are one huge one nano-coated tube with different diameter inside. You start from stomach and finish to the anus. This is the small intestines in the old age. I mean, when you reach 30-35, they are like a 6-7 meters. There are a huge amount of nano-coated tube because how you see on that slide, the next one, Rick, please, they have layering. It's like everything in our body. It is the same representative model all the time. You have the connective tissue is like CO2, then you have transitional matter. This is all your nervous system, circulatory, lymph, and then you go to the mucus, which is the absorptional part of the intestines. But interesting is if you see on the crossroad section that here muscles, they are different shape. They are like smooth, one part of them, and one part is striated. What is mean that intestines belongs and have regulation from two parts of the brain, from physical and from emotional. If you remember that when we spoke about the muscles, and why we need the muscles inside of that large tube. This large tube can be only connective tissue and that's it. No, when you have the muscles, you are able to squeeze the tube. And how Mr. Kesh said, when you squeeze, then you just repositioning the layering inside and you get new conditions and new being inside. And because of that, we have different kind of muscles inside of that large nano-coated tube, what we call digestive system. Okay, then we go to the next slide. The next slide is cross-section of that nano-coated tube, and you see again that representative model of the reactor with layering and with shape. This is all the time we have the same and the same representative model everywhere with all the state of matter, and finally we reach the principal matter, and inside of the reactor we have liquid state. Why it is written lumen, this is the whole inside of the intestines, and there is the liquid state of the reactor, what we call on that way intestines. And you have a shielding from serosa. Serosa, this is the connective tissue what means contain the CO2, and then you have all the principal matter with all the muscles, nerve, circulatory system, and the lymph system. What for you will be CH3, and then you have a layering around the water state, what for you will be copper oxide. And it's interesting to know for you is that when the baby born, the first feces will go out from the digestive system, they are completely green. So everything what the digestive system collect inside of the womb during the embryology of the fetus is because it is not working inside of the womb, collect that green material, what in the medical language we call meconium. But if you question yourself why it's supposed to be green, it's because this is the CO2 would connect with the nervous system. Indirectly, it is the same way like muscles contain the copper, and the copper contain indirectly to the nervous system. This is the same way, and because of that they are green. Okay, we go to the next slide. So on that side, I just want to represent you how is the structure of the wall and different part of digestive system. When we start from esophagus, you see when the food just pass some part of esophagus is starts to have peristaltic wave. And why we need that? We need that just to make a gradient before and after food. And because we reach the gradient, inside of the wall of esophagus starts to generate impulse, electrical impulse, and inform the next part what's coming on from top to bottom. This is so important, how to generate the peristaltic waste, and why we need it. We need it just to generate the gradient between two parts. Then in the stomach, how you see, we have different kind of muscles with different kind of directions, because this is like a mesh. And inside of the stomach we have, it's not only chemical organization of the food, but it is mechanical, supposed to make in the small pieces on the state of juice. It's actually stomach transform the state of matter in different direction with chemical reaction and with mechanical reaction. With that squeezing of all the muscles, change the state of matter from one to other one, and that state of matter to be able to pass to the next one level of the digestive system. And the next one level is intestines, and intestines we have the same different kind of muscles inside of the wall. Again, the layering of the wall, how I told you before. And I told you that we need a muscle just to squeeze the walls, and in that way we get a different kind of state of matter inside. This everything is the same like in the reactor system or in nano state and in nano coating, how you do in your laboratory. Okay, the next one slide. In the next one, this is the invaginations of the mucus of intestine, stomach, and the large intestine we call villi in Latin language. They are conical, and inside, how I told you, they have specific structure, again in layers. And why we need to have invaginations of the mucus? Because on that way the superface starts to larger than if the superface will be just flat without that invaginations. It gives more place for exchanging the packages. Okay, and the next slide is anatomical structure of the villi. Inside is the same layering with the circulatory system, with the nervous system, and the lymph vessels is in between. Actually, all the nutrients they travel through the blood and lymph duct, and finally they are collect. And the right side is the same. How you see, this is the villi, and on the bottom of the picture in Latin is written different kind of layering of the wall of intestines, and the visibility of direction of different kind of muscles. You see, you have the cycling muscles, oblique muscle, circular, and striating muscles. This is because how body need to squeeze that kind of tube and to receive what needed. it is one more mark that our body is completely sustainable. And the next one slide is representing you the innervation of digestive system. The main regulation is the part of thalamus, hypothalamus, and other regulation is from parasympathetic and sympathetic part of the peripheral nervous system. Regarding what kind of chemical reaction is supposed to be done with combination with what kind of mechanical reaction of different kind or of different part of digestive system, we have different combinations between the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system representing of parasympathetic and sympathetic part. I will not keep you busy with so many medical stuff, just to have overview of innervation of digestive system. And how you see, this is the common innervation with trachea. Trachea, this is the beginning of the lungs. What does mean? When we receive some state of matter and the receptors inform the brain what kind of state we receive, the brain directly react and activate that part which is able to accept that state of matter. This is the digestive system or lungs and heart in the thoracic area. Okay, the next one slide. This slide I want to represent you the concept of East about the fields inside of the body. They are organized in main channel, what is we call sushumna. They have a left and right part. And how you see, they cross exactly like infinity nano-coated wire. It is the same way your energy cross all the star formations from one pole to other one, because everything inside of you is nano-coated, and it's make the infinity repetitive model of passing the energy packages inside of you. This is the same like the picture of the infinity sign of the nano-coated wires when they go in the previous workshop, just to see the similarity. This is completely the same thing. And how I told you, everything in our body vibrate and produce a sound, color, and other state of matter. So we have a solid body. This is the one state of matter. Then that solid state of matter supposed to become plasmatic and then gas. But to become to the last point, we pass other state of transitional matters like a color, sound, and finally to reach the gas state. And could you please, Rick, just to show next video? This is the guitar string, but in the same way how the guitar string vibrate, everything in you vibrate in the same way, but it's regarding what the organ and system is supposed to do. The shape of wave where they synchronize mate is different. It is the same like you playing on the guitar. So your body works actually like one performance of one guitar. Everything is synchronized and works together. Cannot be in different way. Just see the video. Even when you look the video now, you will see representative model of double helix of DNA. Okay, thank you. Next to the next slide. With next slide, I want to show that because of all the formations what we have inside of us, like organization of organs and organization of fields, in the East they represent that knowledge like chakras and different state of the energy level, vibrations, and finally, in explanation about the chakras and aura, most of you are familiar with it. We get the central channel with the energy flow. That energy flow compressed from 7 to the 4th in different vibrational state. It's regarding that part of the body, what kind of vibration need to be fed. And because of working of all the fields inside of us, finally we get the common field aura, what contain different layering. Again, I will be not go inside of the theosophy, but we actually live inside of the egg. If you show the next slide, Rick, it is the same. We live inside of the energy egg. This is the same like you see on the mesh of the head of the hand. This is the embryo, human being embryo inside of the amnio sac. So from the beginning to the end, we live covered, shielded from energy, and we have everything around us and in us to be sustainable. Yeah, this is the picture of the human being embryo inside of the amniosac. And with other picture, this is the energy shielding energy egg. In it we live. That is the shielding around each of us. Just different state of matter inside of the womb and outside of the womb. Inside of the womb, we have different shielding with different matters, and you the energy shielding of mother. But when we born, we organize our shielding outside. Okay. And the next one, we are actually representing. This is something similar what Mr. Kesh have in the laboratory. How actually it is easy to produce one life. If you know how to do it, of course. So that was for me for today. I hope it is was interesting for you. If someone have a questions, ask me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Elia. That was a great presentation there. Quite a journey.
Yeah, welcome. Thank you.
That is fantastic. I learned a lot. I'm a student. That's why I'm called a knowledge seeker too. It was beautiful. Thank you very much, Elia.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Just trying to see if there's any questions. Is there any questions from anyone on the Skype call right now? I don't see any questions on the live stream. Strangely, I think everyone's a bit spellbound here. Okay.
The question is that the sphincters at the stomach and at the behind the tongue. Sandro, can you mute, please? They, for myself exactly, I've been operated on. I've had a surgery on my esophagus due to not being able to swallow food. And I was told that the sphincter itself at the bottom or the base of the esophagus is the problem, and so they had to go in and do a certain procedure to wrap it around and open it up. But then it closes again after a certain number of years, and I've noticed again that food is getting stuck at that particular point. But there has to be another reason for that, not necessarily just the body is trying to stop the food from going down. So could you explain that in the medical terms?
It is actually so complicated, especially of that part, because this is the part what is the middle between two main thorax area and abdomen, and actually this is age between the one star formation and the other one star formation. This is like you collect a lot of energy and you not transform the energy from one to other one. The energy just stuck. And also this is the place for solar plex, and solar plex is so important in from energy point of view. If you speak about the energy and the human body, this is so important on the way how you accept the environment around you. So you just stuck to transform different kind of energy from your bottom part to your upper part. You understand? It is not that you're not able to swallow the food. No, you swallow the food, but you're not able to transform that food for something useful for you. And when you have to constriction in some part, it means you collect the energy, but that energy you're not transformed to use, you just collect. And when the amount starts to be a lot, cause the spasm on that part. Do you understand?
Yeah, it's like a blockage, but the blockage is more the energy.
This is the stuck. Yeah, you just collect, but not take it out.
So that energy could be stuck, but also adding to the matter at that point, so not allowing it to do its own job, its natural
job. If you transform to the matter, then finally you got constriction of esophagus. The body starts to produce connective tissue inside, and the diameter of the sphincter becomes smaller and smaller and smaller, and finally obtained. Then you convert the matter to the solid matter. Do you understand? You just solidify your emotions, if I may say it like that.
Yeah, they're pretty solid. Thank you, Elia.
So would an answer be to liquefy those emotions in a sense?
No, gasify.
Gasify, okay. And how might that be done? Any slight suggestions on that?
The technician part is your guys. Just you have to think about.
I'd have another question if there is time for it. I wish to ask about the role of the pancreas into the star formation system.
Yeah, I just saw that I forgot to write. This is with the spleen and output system, because this is the gland. This is information with liver, stomach, and colon, and the spleen, output, and the pancreas. It is because also in the meridians, the spleen and pancreas, they goes all together, and they contain actually the humidity. Do you understand? I just forgot, and I saw now when I spoke, so I'm sorry, I will correct it. But you are able just to write there. That's the place.
Thank you. We are adding the knowledge. And also we have seen that the high acidity of the stomach, when it's get released into the duodenum, the small intestine, it gets reduced. So does pancreas have a role in that? Does it produce something, some alkaline stuff like bicarbonate or something like that to neutralize that acid? which is in the stomach?
The stomach acidity neutralizes itself from the wall. Have so many glands inside of the wall of stomach, and actually the hormone what related is somatostatin. Somatostatin decrease the level of the chloric acid, and the pancreas secrete only enzymes where they have alkaline state, but they go inside of intestines. They are not go in the wall of stomach.
Yeah, of course not in the stomach. Just
Yeah.
I thought
Yeah.
that there should be something to neutralize the acidic content which gets released from the stomach when it goes further to not damage the intestines.
Yeah, they itself, they have the buffer system in the wall of stomach, and we separate even the nervous regulation directly from the brain.
So the stomach sometimes gets inside to be acid and sometimes less acid or neutral.
No, it's all the time on the range of acid pH, but this is the inside of stomach after the mucus of stomach. Everything is alkaline in the wall, and there this is the buffering system where they produce more chloric acid or block the channel of the potassium and natrium to go out the chloric acid. This is the hydrogen pump inside of the wall. Only in the lumen, only in the hole of the stomach, everything is acid. Inside of the wall is nothing acid, everything is alkaline.
I understand. I mean about the content of the stomach, where the digested food mixed with the stomach acid.
Yeah.
Because when I had a reflux, I felt it's a very bad burning sensation.
Yeah, but this is not because you secrete only a lot of chloric acid. This is because of peristaltic of your esophagus also. Sometimes people get the vice versa peristaltic waves. Do you understand? And no close in the proper manner the sphincter of the stomach and esophagus, and then the juice go up. Not all the time related with dysfunction of secretion of the chloric acid. That is what I want to say. Do you understand? Have so many different states.
I was wondering whether the small intestine would resist to that acid of the stomach content when it gets in.
Yeah, this is because of bile juice. Yeah, the bile juice and the pepsin from the pancreas, they decrease acidity, they neutralize. Actually, they convert the chlor. If I spoke in your technical language, they convert the chlor part in the chloric acid.
Thank you. So it's need to produce enough pepsin to get rid of this burning stomach and the reflux problems.
Yeah, and the pepsin actually has some similar structure to chloric acid, but with base inside.
Thank you very much.
If you see, yeah, welcome.
Okay, perhaps we should move over to Mr. Kesh and see what he has to say on the health side of things.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, guys.
Thank you, Elia. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon and good morning, and thank you very much, Elia. It was very enlightening, and we've been talking past 2 days with Elia about this presentation, and so thank you very much for Elia for this presentation. She spent a lot of time trying to make the presentation, and she spent a lot of time making things possible to make sense for a normal person to understand the structure of the chemical side of the body of the man and his feeding system. As you know, we have emotional and physical part of the brain, as we taught in the past talks. The talk today is more or less about how the body of the man has become a conversion system. Everything which I went through from the mouth to anus and all the facilities and systems which has taken billions of years for its mutation, and then for its conversion, and then for its correction, is being put in one package we call the physical human body, from what I call the mouth to the legs, without the arms and legs. Arms and legs are the wheels for the motion of this system, for this machine, what we call human body. They have no other function. You can't have a car without the wheels, it goes nowhere. The section which we talk about, which is the mouth, coming to all sorts of mechanism we've seen in the center core of the human body, altogether is nothing but a conversion system. What does this mean? The energy of the sun in reaching the earth, and in conjunction and in collaboration with the materials on this planet, convert themselves to a digestible system, material, for man or other entities to be available to have large packages in one go. That over time, the evolution has made a conversion system for it, what we call the digestion system. So what happens? The energy of the sun in a plasmatic magnetic field form reaches the earth, upper atmosphere, in converting to nitrogen or releasing a plasmatic condition equal to plasma of a nitrogen, and then subsequent division of this material or this entity into helium and hydrogen, and thereon, with their interaction and reduction or increase in energy to carbon and oxygen consequently, then coming in touch with the material part of the earth, becoming protein of different forms, red protein or movable vertical protein, what we call animals, and horizontal protein, which we call vegetables. Then when you put these different type of proteins, or what you call minerals, which are digestible, through the mouth, the whole process of reversal starts. Which means now once this new combination as a matter state arrives in the mouth of the man or animal or any entity like human body, then the whole process is to convert back the matter again to the energy of the sun. And this process you call it digestion system. There is no more to the human body in a digestion part than a conversion from matter back to plasma. The plasma of the sun converts into matter, and through our digestion system we convert the matter back into plasma. That is, plasmatic gravitational magnetic field can be used to add to the human bodies or working and maintaining this machine in action. So our physical part is nothing but a conversion system of energy from matter to do one thing, to keep the thalamus, which is the emotional part of the human body, which is connected to the soul of the man in working condition. All this facade is nothing but a conversion for the existence of the thalamus. All the brain structure to control this physicality is the same. But you got to look at the structure. The structure is like a factory. You bring raw material, you convert it, like very much like a refinery. You bring the combination of metals in, you melt it, and then in melting it, you forge it to what you like. When it comes in, it could be in the ore condition, like iron ore. When you melt it in different shape or form that you can manipulate it, it becomes plate, fork, knife, a spoon, the body of a car, and the rest. And this is exactly what your digestion system does. It brings in, melts it, opens it, softens it, brings it to a condition that the energy which was given to it through the conversion through the sun to go back to become the sun. And then it extracts its energy in the form of plasmatic magnetic field across the wall of intestine into the lymph of a man, that then the body of the man through different glands decide what this lymph is going to become. When you eat celery, or when you eat vitamin B12 in your mouth, you don't say this is B12, it has to go to such and such a place. The energy of it, the plasmatic gravitational magnetic field which it releases in the intestine, which adds to the lymph, makes that energy available for the body to convert it where it wants, when it wants. In a way, when you digest the food and energy is converted and added to the lymph, the conversion system in releasing the energy at the intestine level is like the sun. The sun radiates out. It gives nourishment. Then, depending on where the organ is or what is creating, decides what that energy is going to become. If you go back to the teaching of yesterday, the sun sits at the center. Where the energy is of the right order, when it reaches the earth, it creates the material for earth. And when the same plasmatic energy from the sun goes further and it has a different characteristics and property, become helium, becomes part of the Saturn. So the organs of the man, doesn't matter whatever you call them, are satellites, stars, and the planets. Combination of a star being the digestion system releasing the energy as intestine from the matter point of view, and the organs are the planets. And what each planet absorbs from this plasma dictates how it shows and manifests itself. But in the body of man, we have put a regulation system, what we call thymus and what we call parathyroid gland. They are the only functioning organization in the human body which dictate what matter becomes matter, what energy becomes matter, and at what strength they become matter. So parathyroid glands, they decide this energy will be, let's say, phosphor, and then thymus decides to what strength is going to be, a soft phosphor, hard phosphor, or would it behave like a calcium and becomes a bone structure. Then the parathyroid glands order follows, the energy which they release. So in a way, the parathyroid glands in conjunction with thymus become the thermometers. Would you like it ice? Would you like it in a steam condition? Or would you like it to be very much liquid? Then if it's liquid, it becomes the blood. If it is in a steam soft condition, like not very hot, not very cold, becomes your muscle tissues, and when it freezes up at the given strength, it becomes bones and hard part of your body. The whole process of the physical part is to be able to extract energy from the environment to keep the emotional part of the body in action. One of the fundamental things which the world of science, and especially medicine, and especially the people who deal with the digestion system and human body have never understood, and you all understand in a very simple way, because you've been working with the different reactors and different gases and different things in the past year, is that there is no difference between the operation of the body of the man and the reactor cores which you have. You put matter in a state of gas in your reactors with a mixture of water, and the minute you start moving within this structure, even the water behaves like a gas. It becomes in a gas state behavior. As you've seen it, you can put it in a freezer, it doesn't freeze, you can do whatever you like with it. So, because the water and whatever is inside it is in the environment of the plasmatic gravitational magnetic field of the GANs of, let's say, copper or CO2, it starts immediately behaving like one as well. So what does this mean? This means the instant that you enter the food in your mouth, doesn't matter in what shape, water, air to breathe in, a meat, sugar, the instant they pass the upper part of the mouth into the channel to go down, they become captured, they become part of a GANs state of matter. And from that moment on, when you enter your food in your mouth and you close your mouth, the food changes from behavior of matter into the GANs state. And from that point on, it's like the water in your reactors, which you add water, but the minute you close your reactor and rotate it, because it's surrounded by the GANs, it behaves as a GANs. Now the food in your mouth is not matter state anymore. Until the point when it comes out of the body, doesn't matter in what form or shape, stays in that matter till the conversion systems come into operation to make it ready to become and be released in a matter state. Look at your bladder, is one of the points of conversion, and your big intestine is another port of conversion of GANs to matter state before discharge. So the instant you swallow, you put something in your mouth, which is to be digested, the information through the GANs of the state, through the glands in the mouth, and through enzymes, what you call enzymes, what we call information carriers of the direct digestion system, they start sending gravitational magnetic fields that opens up the structure of this new GANs. It's very much water cannot do anything with a piece of iron. But if you create a warm environment, the iron will open up. If you create the right temperature that the atomic structure can loosen up, the matter gets. In the stomach you cannot start a fire. So what do? We call them enzymes, but in fact enzymes are different gravitational magnetic field materials which allow the amalgamation or opening up of the plasma of the matter state which is entered in a plasma condition into the stomach to release themselves or release their energies into ready to be taken at the right strength. So what happens when the what you call the enzymes in the stomach release or create an environment that, as I said in the other lectures in the different part of the teachings, that you create a plasmatic gravitational magnetic field, that the magnetic field of, let's say, hydrogen becomes equal to its environment, and it opens up and becomes part of it. And then it becomes one thing. And then once you've done this opening of the plasma, as it goes through intestine, different part of the intestine has different structure, and structure means different condition, and because of the materials and the gases which they are made of, they create different gravitational magnetic field magnets for different strength plasmas which are going through the intestine. So now it becomes a conveyor belt that each part of the intestine is responsible for picking up what is responsible for. If you've been into what are called recycling factories, where they bring a lot of clothing, you see they put everything on a conveyor belt. And one person is only responsible for shirt, and one person is only responsible for underwear, and one person is only responsible when the shirt comes, if he can pick up the blue shirt only. And the other one on the conveyor belt only picks up the shirt which they call the damaged arm. And this is how your stomach works. But with the difference that, as we saw with the pictures that Dr. Elia showed, different structure of the tube, of the nanotube of the intestine, this nanotube is not constantly the same thing. Through different layers behind it, they create different gravitational magnetic field. Because the lining of the stomach is in a nano-state condition, nothing can stick to it. That be no nano layers, nanomaterials cannot be soldered. So the food literally swims and floats over a magnetic plate conveyor belt as it goes further down. And each gravitational magnetic field, very much the way you extract electron current from the environment through nanolayers into the matter, creates a condition of gravitational magnetic field for a specific strength. Then we call it, this is for vitamin A, this section, this does the vitamin B, this section absorbs different entities of plasmatic condition strength. And then this energy is passed on to what we call transparent liquid, we call it lymph, which is another conveyor belt in the whole structure. So at the end, when it becomes to the big intestine, then the matter, anything which had the energy which is equal to amino acid and the strength of the digestion tube of the intestine, which is not needed anymore, now has to be converted back into a GANS state, but still being in the matter GANS state. And then it discharges in all sorts of shapes and forms. And then if you go one step further, what is discharged, why it is used again for fertilizers or whatever, is because the system is already in the GANS state, so it can be digested by the proteins of the plants or whatever to regrow faster. That's why we use animal excrements for fertilizer, because it's already converted GANS state material. It's like the CO2s we see in the Chinese colleagues have shown how it affects the condition of the growth. Because now you deliver a GANS state of matter ready, and because it's converted to GANS, the plants absorb it much easier because they don't need to convert it. And that's why we use fertilizers. Because it's a GANS state material state. That's why if you go a step further, synthetic fertilizers are the problem. Because they are in a matter state, they have to be converted, and that conversion creates all sorts of problems for the plant, where digestive system of the man or animal, what it puts out is in a gaseous state and it feeds directly. So what comes back to why all this conversion and all this work? There is something which we go back to one of the first pictures which Dr. Elia put on the screen, where we saw the mouth and the anus are the two ends of one tube. In reality, the two ends of this tube, or one tube I should say in different shapes, is two ends of one magnetic field canal or a channel or a wire, where in this magnetic field tube a given specific energy allows the manifestation of the man as a matter. And that's the total purpose of this tube. What I call this empty sausage is to be able to create a condition around it to allow the manifestation and presentation and physical appearance of the man. And nothing more. That this state of entity in supporting the plasmatic magnetic field, what we call the emotional part, allows it to give essence to the creation as a man and their soul. This is how we view digestion system in a physical entity like a man and nothing more. And there is no other purpose for it. And man has made it such an amazing thing that nobody knows how it's done. It's one of the simplest systems. It has a factory, it has a storage capacity for what it takes, we call it liver. It has a cleaning up that it cleans up whatever is not needed to filter it out, like a sewage system, you call it kidney. And it stores its sewage, you call it bladder. And there is nothing else to this life and no more. So when you create different conditions for this sewage system, you end up with different solidifications and what you call different cancers and diseases. If the man understands that through the emotional part can control everything in the physicality because it's responsible for it, because it's engaged it, then man can survive for millions of years in space, as other creatures do. The human body is one of the shortest living amoebas in the universe. Because it's weak and it uses very weak gravitational magnetic field for its existence. And in fact is not edible at all by any other creatures. That's why man stays as man and you don't get hunted like your food as the man hunts animals. Because the energy release is so minute that it's not even worth hunting for. And secondly, in space no creature eats another species. We tap into the boundary of the energy beyond the intestine when it's in the energy form and not the entity. In fact, the lymph of the man is exactly in the pure state, has no living structure as such which can make a decision. Is in a state of energy and not state of matter, but in clusters, what you call the cells. It has not materialized and it has not a decision-making organization. It's just packages which has size, and the size of the lymph liquid is dictated by the environment around it. But it has a life that it reproduces through conditions of division. So what has been the mystery of the physicality of man is nothing but conversion of matters to one state to another, to be able to manifest itself as a physical entity, to show the existence of the emotion and the soul which exists, and it shows itself in the physical entity as body of the man. It's very much, as I said in the talks recently, if you're in a room, the moisture is there, you don't see it. When you make the condition outside but cooler and inside is warm, you see moisture on the window, on the glass. And the man is the moisture on the glass, and no more. Where the condition of this environment of the earth allows that energy or to show itself as an entity, which is the body of the man. And that point of conversion is what you call your digestion system. So how do we look at it, and why do we do so much to keep this physical entity in motion and do so much harm to each other, to manifest what is so pure and beautiful, what we call emotion, which is connected to the soul? This is one of the biggest mysteries of the creation, and that is why the soul, through the emotional part of its power, allows physicality as a leech to attach itself to it, that it can manifest its own existence and presence. Why do we choose, as Dr. Elia showed, sexual organs to reproduce another physicality? Is nothing but the lack of understanding by the condition of this planet into existence of the creation. In time when the man with a new technology goes into space, and the emotional side of the brain, which is the thalamus, realizes can have energy back again without the conversion, then we'll find again another series of evolution in the body of the man. One of the first things we will see in the coming time, in decades, in a very fast conversion, will be reduction in the intestine, then in the stomach, then not necessarily physical body of the man. It'll be much slimmer like other creatures in the universe, because digestion system is not needed away. But if you keep the physicality, you need to keep it in motion. You still have a moving part, what I call the wheels, which is the legs and the arms. Creation and created things like the human body is very common in the universe, when the physicality condition like this planet has forced the part of the interaction of certain creatures to manifest themselves as a body of entity, like the body of the man. The rest, the shape, the size, the color, is dependent on how the planet or the environment in the space has allowed this solidification to appear and to develop. So, in a time that we have opened the doors, you'll come across hundreds of thousands of different entities like human, with moving legs and arms and different kind of size of control panel, what we call the head and the brain. Because this is a natural process. You call them aliens. They have different color, shape of eyes, head, the head in different positions, multiple heads, multiple ears, or whatever, or multiple arms. These all, like man, has been dictated by the environment they've been accustomed to, because they needed more mobility or different kind of mobility to be able to extract energy in packages that they can consume. And once they come into space, their physicality stays very much what they had in the planet, where they come from, but the body structure over time changes. And like as we go to walking on the street, you see one is young, one is old, one is middle-aged, and one is very old. When you go to space, by the shape and the presentation appearance of the entities, you understand the maturity of the time and how long they've been in space. Because the more you stay in space, the less need is for the organs to be used and needed. Because most of the energy will be absorbed on the skin level, on the contact point between the entity and the gans of the body. So, a digestion system, as you call it, from the mouth to anus, with this storage capacity and the conversion, being a conversion of air or solid into the lungs, as we spoke before, is nothing but for the manifestation of physicality of the soul and this emotional part. The point you have to further add your knowledge is that at the moment when the lung inhales matter as a gas in, which is where it came from originally, because the amino acid, its origin comes from the gas from atmosphere of this planet, and that's why we use the CO2 to exhale it out, or we absorb, extract air from the environment for our lung. The instant that the air or the food enters the body of the man and behaves like a gas, it releases up to 80% of its energy instantaneously in the environment, because now it's opened up. This is the same as in the in your original boxes of CO2. When you put nano-coated material, now that it was nano-coated as the food, you put the food in your mouth, into the water, you could light up the lights or run a motor. Instantaneously the energy is released to become open, to become able to be part of, to release, become a gas, as you've seen in your containers. And that energy is instantaneously through the vortex of the north-south pole, as you call it, rotation of magnetic field, feeds through the bottom of the brain into the emotional part. So emotional part of the body of the man receives most of, or nearly all of his energy from the instant the air or the food enters the body of the man. It does not need the heart to pump it up, and it does not need the lymph to carry it around. You have hardly any lymph compared to its size around the brain of the man. You have a brain liquid, the liquid which is there and in gone, and most of the liquid in the physical part of the brain is for the physicality and the veins which are physical in the structure on the outer boundary. The physical human brain receives its energy and the growth of what it needs from the energy which is released the instant the material enters the body and becomes in a gas state, and not through the conversion of the blood or digestion system, which is the 20% of it. So when the food reaches the stomach, more or less at that point has released all its energy, and through the flow of magnetic poles, which is the north and the south of the brain, and what you call the anus, the field moves upwards through the field pressures which are created through the pumping of the heart to the brain directly. In a way, the physical pumping of the heart and the magnetic field which creates, it shows the direction of the flow of the fields to the top, to the brain, and the bottom narrow end of the heart connects with the reproduction line for passing of the energy to it for the production of the next generation. In so many ways, man has not even understood the full working of his own body. And this is how the new technology, you can compare parallel page by page from what you've done from last year. Now you understand how your brain grows, why there are no feeding line as such to the brain. There are bloodlines going for the physicality in the extremities, and partially the gravitational magnetic field of the blood with what comes through instant conversion into plasmatic magnetic fields from the energy of what you breathe and you digest, going up to the brain, dictates what solidification and what material will be solidified in what part of the brain, in which form, which ends up to be the leg or the arm part of the body. That's why you don't have blood vessels in the brain of the man as such, unless it's for the physical part. Because the feeding does not come through the lymph. The feeding and the digestion system and the release of what the brain doesn't need comes through the gravitational magnetic field, which the air and the food release at the bottom of, into the throat, up to the bottom of the, what do you call it, the brain, the emotional part. And then the emotional part, in turn, what it does not need, releases upwards. That's why, for example, when you're under stress and you breathe different way, you release different kind of energies because of your breathing, and if this energy is too much and is not needed by the emotional part, thalamus, then it releases in one go and becomes a brain hemorrhage, because this is a channel of release. That's why the human brain is divided in two halves, left and right, because the gap and the gap to you is nothing. The two sides of the brain are more or less packed to each other. But because of the nano separation between them, there are the channels of releasing energy from thalamus up. And when the energy is too much and cannot be handled by nano layers to go through because they are in a superconductor condition, then they release the energy into the physical part, which is the upper arm and upper leg, inside the two contact points, and then we see paralysis and the rest of it. Because when you breathe fast, or when you go through the emotional, that the energy of the air conversion becomes fast, then you release the energy because you have, or you consider as a point of stress, then you become what you call have a stroke, and then you becomes a heart attack. It is a different condition. This is one of the most important parts of the physical structure of the being of the man and any beings which is physically manifest itself in the universe. You look at the fish to any animal which is created, they all have, when they become physically manifested, having an entry point and exit point, that within the realm, this what I call the magnetic wire, which is your intestine nano-coated, they allow different energies to come out. It's the same as when you press the nano layer, you see different currents or magnetic fields from the matter end, as you have measured. And there is no other reason for the manifestation of the physicality. Any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Kesh. Trying to see if we have any questions in the live stream. There was a question, I don't know how relevant it is, but there was. Let me just get it up here.
I think it's a lot of digestions needed, because it's not what they thought that.
Yeah.
As I said, we more and more in depth to show the body of a man is nothing but the conversion point, and what's the use of all the wars and all the animosity in the humanity. And this kind of teaching is part of the same process.
There was a question regarding sex on the live stream, but that might be a subject for another day and a whole workshop in itself, perhaps.
That's a decision of
It wasn't.
she decides where we go with these things.
It wasn't really a question so much. I guess it was more of a suggestion that the sex also has to work into this. Well, what we've learned here today somehow has to work into it, and I guess especially some of the younger folks are more interested in that aspect, as they tend to be. So I don't know if we want to get into that today. We're already up to 2 hours and 15 minutes.
Think there will be a session for that by Dr. Alia in the coming time. We try to cover it. You cannot cover the whole bit by bit. This section had to be done as one. The next step is the function of the different organs in this part, what their behavior is and how it is. And hopefully in the coming time we go through showing how diseases through different changes come about, and then that to show that there is much easier way to handle diseases.
Okay. Is there any other questions from the Skype call?
I got a question. I got 2 questions for him.
Okay, Brett.
All right.
Oh, he's an alien.
Of course, I'm only part alien. Listen, some people are born with their corpus callosum bridge much larger. So how is that going to affect the brain compared to ours?
Explain to a common man what it is.
The corpus callosum is the bridge between the 2 hemispheres of the brain.
Yes.
Yes, and some people are born with a much larger bridge and much more connections. So I wanted to know how that affects them compared to a normal person's brain structure.
No different. It's just a conversion of the information. That brain needs that bridge to do the same thing as your brain does with the less of it. Don't forget, just because we all have 5 fingers and on each hand and 2 arms and 2 legs and a heart, that our body is exactly made the same way. Otherwise it would have been a photocopying machine. You want a child, there's a photocopying machine, you get one. We are part of the evolution. So any changes or diversion or deviation, it means that amino acid in that structure needs a slightly different thickness and composition to reach the same information.
Okay, thank you for that. And I have one more. Yeah. What's going on in the minds of people? Synesthesia, do you know what that is?
No, explain. Anything you use terminology, explain. Because you have to understand we have a large number of people from different cultures and speaking languages. So you have to explain it that we all understand.
Synesthesia is where people say they read a word, they'll get a taste in their mouth, or if they read a letter or word, all the senses get input at once. They get mixed up. If they taste something, they might think of a word, or if they see something, it triggers a sound or a taste. And it's like all the senses get activated at once, whereas us, we isolate them in a way.
All of us have that. All of us have it. But some of us decides to speak about it and some we don't. And subconsciously, it's been part of our RNA. This is how you say if they see something, they can taste or bring back a taste to them when they see something. All of us, without fail, the human race, it's come through our ancestors, the same information. We see a cactus, we don't touch it because we know there is a pain with it. So does it mean we lack the what do you call it, the emotional part which you ask for? No, it means we have identified it, we know it, and so we don't touch it. It's very much like one of my children used, the minute it says cactus, because he was pinched and he hurt him, says pain dun, which means it's full of pain, I'm not touching it. We reckon all of us have this ability, But some of us see it as a point of attention and getting what we call ADD. It brings a point to be able to talk. This is one of my abilities I can see. You do the same. Why do you feel like going to McDonald's? Because you already know the taste is submerged and is printed in your brain, the taste. You're going for more of the same. You don't taste McDonald's, but you know what it is, and this is what you're going for. And which is most of the foods at the moment, it's salt, connected density, saturation point. You all have, this is part of our life. This is why we don't like to go to Uncle Sam and we go to Uncle George. Because Uncle Sam is always nasty. It brings a taste of not liking being there. What name do you put to that? It's the same thing.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I hope the alien part of you is satisfied.
I think so.
Speaking of aliens, Ivan has a question. Maybe the one last question here is, if there's no problem in the reactor system, why does a person die just out of getting old?
The death is a word man has chosen. You came from nothing, a collection of energies, and you go back to a different collection of energies. You just remember a part which this part was together. It's like going from one party to another. If you go from let's say a party between 7 and 8 o'clock, and then you are invited to a second party from 8 to 9 o'clock, you haven't died in the first party, you've just gone to another party, the body is somewhere else, in different location. You might go with one in Halloween clothing and then go to the other one in a suit like a doc.
Kind of like going from one workshop to another for you, probably.
Exactly. It's a change of clothes. Nothing else. Death in the universe is meaningless. It's a change of condition and change of manifestation.
Perfect answer. I like that. Death in the universe is meaningless.
Any other question?
I think we probably should wrap it up there.
Thank you very much. It's nearly 2.5 hours.
Yeah,
and we try
that's a
to
long
do this with swimmer.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We're having a teaching in Chinese on Monday.
I think we'll move that to
On
Tuesday, and I believe that'll be
Pardon?
at 1:30 your time on Tuesday, if that's okay.
We can't hear you. You sound like an alien. You're going. Repeat again, please.
Okay, I'll try to say it again. I believe the Chinese workshop will be on Tuesday at 1:30 CET, Central European Time, your time. Does that sound right?
Let me repeat. This is what I think I heard. Tuesday at 1:30 Central European Time.
Yes, right.
Okay, no problem. Let me explain what is getting planned for the people who come to the workshops. Due to opening up of the institute as a university in the coming weeks and months, we have to reorganize because it's not possible to be in two places at the same time. So what we are planning to do is that we use the Tuesday afternoons as a point of teaching all the languages and different field of expertise. So we're trying to do between 1:30 and 5:30 more or less, 1 hour for, if I'm correct me if I'm wrong, 1 hour for like Spanish and 1 hour for the Italian, and then every day between 3:30 and 5:30 you go to Dr. Elia for medical, and then the following week will be 1 hour of Chinese and 1 for children, and then again Dr. Elia. Because the medical part is one of the most important part of the space technology for us at this moment, but we will carry on with the Thursday morning workshops stays to be able to answer different developments and different kind of teaching.
I believe that's the correct schedule, although it would be nice if we could make the workshops on the even hour rather than every half hour, but like maybe we should start at 2 and go to 6. Would that be okay?
It can be done, but that actually be much better. But I think the Chinese had a problem with that.
Yeah,
Because
it was getting a bit late for them. But if it's only an hour workshop and not 2, then they might be okay with that.
The beauty with this is that if you speak Spanish, you can, I mean, you stay on the line because the whole subject might carry on into the Chinese section of the development, and then you go to the medical side. So with this way, we break all the barriers of nationality and color and races and languages.
Yeah, and I think we can have the translations going on in the background. Exactly.
But the teaching or the workshops of the Thursday morning between 8 and 11, 12 o'clock will stay for the time being. And we try to use this in conjunction with the students at the Institute, that they can participate. Because we hopefully we should be able to sign the final agreement in the coming days. I'm moving back down to Barrie on Saturday, on Sunday, to sign the agreements for the transfer, and hopefully the first knowledge seekers, what we call at the master level, will come in April. We are moving all the facilities from the Keshe Foundation Center to Barrie within the next 2 weeks, and immediately we go into operation and commercialization and what we call the spin-off. So the developments and the changes become very rapid. All the final agreement has been reached with the universities, and the government will announce maybe today as a health section, as we announced it before. We have reached agreements through the different Keshe Foundation arm and structures for the first official clinical trials of, as I said yesterday, the ILS for 10 volunteers. And there's the spinal damage, and I was told yesterday we are waiting for a confirmation, and the documents has to be signed today. I hope it's done by the time we finish the program. The health section and health equipment of Keshe Foundation as a plasma technology, which is officially accepted by the Naturopathic Society as an official body in Belgium as an alternative plasma technology for medical application, becomes part of one of the most influential medical, organizations around the world. Once we sign today, hopefully next week we can announce it. They allow all the technologies to be used directly in the hospital level around the world in their organization. And it's a very strange, the way it's coming is one of the people or organizations which we have had a lot of interactions within different shape and forms. And I was told yesterday by the people who are negotiating on our behalf or in the development of the medical applications, this allows the Keshe Foundation health to be practiced in over 100 nations around the world instantaneously. And this again goes through the Foundation Institute teaching. And in the new university, one floor is specified with for health only. The space technology has not reached that level, but the health is already there. So there will be the health section headed by Dr. Elia and Dr. Lutzi. Professor Lutzi will head in that direction for the space medicine or medical applications to become available radically in the next coming weeks and months. And there is a lot of work is going in the background with different authorities and governments to the release of the technology at the medical level very rapidly. And in the coming weeks, once we move to Barrie, one of the first spin-offs that I was explaining to Armand and Marco, because it falls on their shoulders as the masters, is to start the spin-off of the water purification and other aspects of the technology immediately within the university. So if anybody is interested in water purification around the world to work with Keshe Foundation on a master level for immediate spin-off, get in touch with us. You have to go through, at this moment of time, we'll appoint Amrock, who's collecting all these informations in the background, but then you have to go through university to registration. A fee is finally agreed for the foundation students. The fee for the teaching on the technical side is €5,000 for the first year, 3 years per year, and for masters has been put at 10,000. Any profit which is made from tuition in respect to the university edition will pay for those who cannot afford but they have the intellect to be within the structure of the masters or what you call first degree students. So we do not accept people asking us, we want to be a student, can you accept us? We reach through our Keshe Foundation looking for those who have been to come in. It's very much gets granted and not asked for. Those who ask us for us and they tell us they want to be a student masters, 99% the reply will stay on the back shelf till we satisfy the ones which are already inside, or we see them to be able to add to their knowledge very fast. We try, and this is one of the biggest problems for us, in bringing what we call not the third world nations to be taught, but the people of the lower financial capability, it doesn't matter even within Europe, but with the intellect to be part of the university. Age, color, race, religion is totally blank to us. We don't have that kind of thing. We have been keeping an eye on hundreds, several thousand people in past 4 or 5 years through different directions of the foundation. And these people take priority in every chance. We have people from the United States, we have people from China, and in time, those who pay, then part of their fee will pay for the others to be here.